What if the peace you have been searching for all this time was never out there, but has always been quietly waiting for you inside your own soul? In a quiet countryside surrounded by towering mountain ranges, there lived a young man named Marco, just 24 years old. But no matter how peaceful the scenery around him was, there was a storm raging inside Marco. His thoughts constantly haunted him, sadness over the past and worry about the future. He could not sleep well at night, he was exhausted during the day, and he always felt heavy and restless. The smile on his lips had seemingly vanished long ago. Marco felt like he was living without truly being alive. He was a young man full of energy, but his mind was always pulled toward what had already happened, or what had not yet come. He longed for peace, but he had no idea how to find it. One day, he heard people talking about an old man who lived in seclusion in a remote village on a hill. They said the old man had once been a famous psychologist, someone who had helped many people find peace in their hearts. That story lit a spark of hope inside Marco. He packed his bags and set off on a long journey, not for adventure, but to find something he had lost long ago: true peace. When Marco arrived at the hilltop village, he immediately felt something different in the air. No more city noise, just the soft breeze rustling through the trees, the distant chirping of birds, and the smell of wild grass under the morning sun. In front of him was a small house covered in lush green vines, so simple that no one would have guessed it was home to a man who was once well known. On the porch sat an old man, motionless, eyes closed, his face lined with wrinkles but radiating a strange serenity. Marco walked closer, holding on to his last bit of hope. His voice trembled slightly as he spoke. "Sir, I cannot bear it anymore. My mind feels like a storm. I cannot stop thinking, I cannot rest, I cannot smile. All I want is one thing: peace." The old man slowly opened his eyes. They were clear and deep, as if they could see right into Marco's soul. He did not rush to comfort him or ask many questions. He simply gave a gentle smile and stood up. "If you truly wish to find peace, help me with a small task." He led Marco to the backyard. There, he filled a glass with water, filled it to the brim. Just the slightest tilt would cause it to spill. He handed the glass to Marco and said, "Walk from here to the village gate and then come back. But remember this: do not spill even a single drop." Marco froze. He could not understand how this task had anything to do with his troubled mind. But the old man's eyes left no room for refusal. Marco accepted the glass and carefully stepped onto the village path. The road was not easy. Children were playing, adults were chatting, vendors were calling out to customers, and dogs barked in the distance. But Marco paid no attention to any of it. He focused all his attention on the glass in his hands. He walked slowly, step by step, as if he were walking on a tightrope. His eyes were fixed on the surface of the water, barely blinking. Curious gazes followed him, but no one interfered. Perhaps they were already familiar with the old man's strange challenges. Each step was a test. Even a small shiver could cause the water to spill. But Marco remained steady. When he reached the village gate, he turned around and quietly walked back, his pace consistent, his eyes still locked on the glass. When he returned to the porch, Marco handed the glass back to the old man. His face was covered in sweat, but his eyes shone with pride. "Sir, I did it. Not a single drop spilled." The old man took the glass, set it down gently, and asked softly, "During that whole walk, did you see the children laughing by the roadside? Did you hear the barking dogs, or see the old lady selling fruit at the market corner?" Marco shook his head. "No, sir. I was only focused on the glass of water." The old man nodded, his gaze warm like a father seeing his child grow up. "That is your answer. When you truly focus on the present moment, on just one thing, all the noise and distractions of the outside world begin to fade away. Thoughts of the past or the future no longer have a place to enter. He sat down again, the soft golden light of sunset spilling across his silver hair. During that time, you lived fully in the moment. No worries, no regrets, no fears. Just one person, with one glass of water, and each mindful step. Marco was speechless. Those words had just opened a door he had never known existed. The challenge was not about testing his balance, but about revealing something no book had ever taught him. When the mind is anchored in the present, the waves stop rising. Marco sat down by the porch. The afternoon breeze stirred the leaves gently above his head. His heart was still beating fast, but not from anxiety, from something deeper. He had just experienced something very simple, yet it felt like a cleansing of his mind. He looked at the old man and softly said, "Now I understand. Peace is not some faraway place. It is not something others can give. It is the result of keeping my mind grounded in the now." The old man smiled. Exactly. Many people spend their whole lives searching for peace, in money, fame, love, or recognition. But they do not realize that peace is not in those things. It only appears when you let go of the past, stop fearing the future, and choose to live fully in this moment, right now. The sun slowly set behind the hill. The golden light of the evening bathed the entire sky. Birds called to one another as they returned to their nests. Nothing disturbed Marco anymore. He closed his eyes, listened to his own breathing, and for the first time in years, he felt light, still, and free. That day, Marco left the village, but he was no longer the anxious, restless young man he used to be. His eyes looked different, his steps were firmer, and in his heart, there was a quiet space full of warmth. From that moment on, whenever his thoughts began to rise like waves, he remembered the glass of water. He remembered each careful step. He remembered that peace did not require going far. It only required returning to the present, and everything would become clear.